Hey people, it's me again. So, anyways, even though I done like a video blog about earlier today, around 5 or 7 o'clock in the morning, when I was doing my morning walk routines, but although I spent most of the time today sleeping, I think I was just already tired and all that, but then I think I had pretty much neglected my whole class as far as online, but then I keep forgetting to get up at the right time, and then a couple of times when I wanted to do the whole assignment, the computer that I wanted to do, whatever assignment was, is that somebody else is using it, or that the computer here messes up or something, for some reason. But I think I was just using it sort of class as some sort of temporary distraction for all the little problems that I was having the past few months, as you can tell, as far as on my video blogs a couple times. But I guess I would state, as far as I said before, that I'm now leaving at this point, that as far as with Drew, that he's just not really emotionally ready yet. But however, he seems to give this sort of indication that he still wants something with me, as far as last time I checked. But it's not like I'll be like crushed as far as if things don't work out, because in a way I've always had some sort of backups there and plan just in case. It's always been my thing to have backup boyfriends at my disposal as far as that goes. And there are some that maybe I think they probably are aware of it and don't mind. And there are some that basically I hate having to do this right now. It's just my nose is starting to itch. I would say that I would say it's just that they're aware of it and maybe and don't mind. And there are some of them that probably aren't necessarily aware of, as far as me kind of considering them as a backup in some cases. But I was already thinking about some of the other people that kind of said numerous times on here, or that there's probably at least a handful of these guys there, that they express maybe something more than just friends with me at some point, but they never really seem to act on it at some point. I don't know what is up with them as far as that goes. I mean, whether if it was that they were just expecting me to make the move, or it's just simply me having to expect them to make that sort of move. I think that's just what was going on with these bunch of guys there. I don't really have to kind of say like their names there, but there's plenty of them that I kind of met throughout the years on Bear WW and maybe like Bigger City and then Bear 411 as far as that goes, but I think they seem to like me to a degree, as far as maybe something a little bit more than just a friend, but they never seem to act upon it. I think I probably go on and maybe just trade, and that's pretty much it, and then I began to think now, maybe that was what they were interested in me the entire time, was just trading, And then, although I think it wasn't until maybe just one of the guys there that I could say that I actually met and almost went all the way, but I think I just had second thoughts after, in the last minute, But he didn't really mind. I think we went back down to just being just friends, I guess, or maybe something a little bit more than just friends. I don't know. I think as far as how I would state, as far as all the other things that were going on, I mean, I've had finally mentioned Ricky Drew as far as this sort of last time I actually talked to him, about just a couple of hours ago. But I was already kind of mentioning as far as now, it seems like, oh wait, but I'm not gonna really wait forever, it's just human nature that I could wait, but I can't really just wait forever for somebody, to make up their mind, and when there's all these other people there, and that's pretty much the case what happened with Eloy, but I guess in some ways a part of it could also be a little bit my fault there, because the fact that maybe if I had stated to Eloy at the time, when I first met him, when it was first made aware of my attraction for him, that if I was able to say it to him at the time, that I wasn't really ready to have something serious with him, but I wanted to spend time with him, but not anything real serious yet. Not that I was, not that I didn't really care much for it. It was just that I wasn't really emotionally ready for a serious relationship at that time. And especially right when I came out. It was, he kind of came right there, right when I was already almost finished coming out in some ways. I was already at the point of where I'm coming out to not just myself, but then to mom and dad and all the friends there, as far as that goes. It's like the whole coming out process at that point, when I first met Eloy and Josh. And I would say as far as the biggest problem there, as I kind of stated several times before, it was just mom. Is that I think I kind of think that she just wasn't really emotionally ready for me to be dating someone just yet, and it took her a long time for her to be comfortable with it. And then it was the same thing with Dad, I was, as far as when I came back here to California in '05, from living in Texas, and around that time when I was coming out, that I've realized that I was already ready to, that I was already, I was all ready for a relationship. But however, it was merely that I wasn't really ready to just jump right into the next available person, just like that. I just needed to get to know them first for a while instead of just jump head into a relationship like that. That was kind of one of the reasons why I never really liked that guy Matt, to tell the truth. Even though I ragged on about him for so many times, but I think as far as all of that goes, is that I didn't like him because of the fact he was always insisting on a relationship with me when he just didn't really know anything about me. Other than I just look cute to him. And as I kind of, last time I pretty much already kind of taught to him in some ways, that he never really showed me how much he was willing to invest on some of that, and that his whole reasonings of wanting to go out with me was just the physical and sexual attraction to me, and that was it. He wasn't really interested in anything of that sort, which I could say is kind of ironic in some cases, because normally in the chub and bear community there, it's usually they're the ones that complain about the chasers only liking them that way on the outside, but not caring for them on the inside. And they're always been the one to complain about that chasers are just only interested in sex and all that sort of stuff. And then when there are some chasers that actually do want a relationship, but they're also just as equally picking chubs who are not necessarily interested in a relationship, and they will just do anything just to get the chaser to get in bed with them, and all that sort of stuff, to tell the truth. I guess I would say as a lot of the other ones that I've been across lately, I think weren't necessarily, I wouldn't necessarily that they were bad or anything, but it was just, if anybody had saw like my profile on there, that I hate having to go around and talk about this, especially like on YouTube, and all that, but I had to kind of go around and explain the whole dynamics of it, that there are like the pitchers and the catchers, and then there's like the switch hitters, and then for me, I'm kind of considering myself to be a switch hitter, or someone who likes to play both the catcher and the pitcher, as far as that goes, and a lot of times I think that I would just see maybe a couple of guys that are just solely just one or the other, never really the one that can do both. But very rarely I would find guys that were both that way. I think it was merely that was one of the reasons why I like Drew. I hate having to go around and say that it's not the sole reason I like him. It's just one of the reasons I like him. It was the fact that the dynamic there is that I can give and receive with him than compared to any of the other guys that I can only just give or receive. And then it was the same way with Ricky, although Ricky done both, but was only interested in giving as far as that goes, and not interested in receiving. That was one of the only little problems that I had. Even though I've only done it with him twice, and that was like a huge gap between that. Even though I pretty much had taught him numerous times over the years, but there was just simply the fact that he was busy with school and work and all that, and then I didn't drive, and then the fact that at that time that Dad couldn't trust me as far as making my own decisions as far as that goes, with going out to meet them and all that sort of stuff. I could have done those sort of things back then, if possible, but I think I was just having to run around and play by dad's silly little rules just to get a little bit more slack there. But it's one of the things that I think Dad just has to understand is that if I wasn't going to get any slack from him, I was going to take it from him. And that's basically what had happened about at least a couple times on here, as far as a lot of the biggest drama that I had with him. That if he wasn't going to give me slack there, I was going to go around and yank it right out from under him, whether if he liked it or not. I wasn't really entirely want to let people treat me like that, But it's like I said, it's just, I have a hard time trying to get it through to people because it's all part of the Asperger's here. And then in some ways, the way I get through to some people could be a little harsh or a little extreme in some cases, not to be specific about it, but that's how I kind of roll with some people, that I'm not necessarily saying that I'm being uncalled for as far as that goes, or going way off as far as certain people like that give me trouble. I think I had plenty of people that kind of give me trouble as far as that goes, but I would say, as far as to state an example, as far as on Bear WW, it was like the other day. This was before my birthday, and I clearly stated on my profile that I'm not into guys who don't really live in my area, who are interested in more than just pen pals. So what happened is there's this Italian guy that was messaging me, and I think he was asking me for like some sort of little favor. And I think the thing was when I finally told him off, like, well, read my profile, and then he says like, and I said like, well, what favor, what favor? And then he was asking me that if he wanted him to send me some sort of package to him, to me, but then I kind of told him off, like, leave me alone. You don't know me. And then, although I could have just said it to him there, right then and there, that sort of thing could be romantic to you as far as that goes, but to someone else, that's downright creepy. That's downright creepy, but it's just some ways some of those guys that are like over there just really do not know how to talk to Americans in some ways. That they can't really just go around and just talk to them and expect them to fly right over to them, or whatever, or them to fly over to them, or the other way around, and just go on a date or a rendezvous of that sort just like that, It's just simply for them is that they have to kind of at least realize that not all Americans act the same way. It's not all like British people act the same way, not all Australians act the same way, and yada 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 yada. But I think that happened to me at least a couple of times, where I had a few run-ins with guys that weren't necessarily around here, and they clearly seem to want to have something more than just a pen pal, a friend type of relationship with me. And then clearly I just get annoyed by all of that, because it's just going to take a whole lot of work, more than just what it would take with other people, to tell the truth. For one thing, I've also had stated some Chinese guy, I think somewhere in Hong Kong, that was bugging me a few times over the entire time that I was on Bear WW, and I would say that it's been a little bit over 5 years since I've been on Bear WW, as far as actually having an account there, but I've always kind of visited the site every once in a while there, but the funny thing is with Bear. The funny thing is with that one guy is like he messaged me and I kind of ignored his messages a few times and then blocked him a couple times, And then a few times I would start up a new account for some reason, because it was sick, because I would accumulate another too many jerks at some point, and then I'm kind of about ready to like tell them off at some point, But that's how it usually goes with some of them. And then he starts bugging me again, But then it was just the last time I've kind of messaged him or emailed him back on there. It has like an option where you can email them. So if anybody who's not really familiar with the site, that you can basically email them directly there, and instead of actually having an actual message to them. So my nose is already starting to run again. I hate that having to do all this like right now. So, anyways, as I was saying, I kind of messaged him and emailed him there in English and in Cantonese. Although, I pretty much put it through the Google Translator as far as that goes. That I was like not really interested in him. And that he just can't really go around and just assume that I'm just some silly little American that he can coax his way into a relationship just like that, And that I'm just far more complex and all of that, and that he just couldn't, and that he just doesn't really understand that. Doesn't really understand that I'm far more complex than all of that. I began to kind of realize that as far as a lot of things, even though I may not act this sort of way, but sometimes I'm a bit bullheaded in a way that how this part of myself seems to come out in such weird times in such cases. It was on like my old channel as far as the Ryukage 99 channel, when it was like right after the election, where I said about like Prop 8 passed, so what? And then look what happened here. Here it is. It's been about like 3 years since we had the whole thing with Prop 8, and Prop 8 is still overturned, and it's still kind of on his last dying breath as far as that goes. And the funny thing is as far as with that thing goes, is that I'm kind of bullheaded in some ways. That I say certain things like this, like, well, so what? That sort of thing. So what? It's really strange as far as how such things have been with certain people, that I've kind of been a little bit mean to some of those guys that were like that, but I think I've only been mean to them only because they were being mean to me first off. If they were just simply had a polite way of turning me down and all that sort of stuff, and then they wouldn't have all this little drama, and that they just basically brought this on themselves. And that was kind of the case. Kind of the case with half of them, and it was like the case with like Eloy for that matter, you know. Even though I hate having to say that so many times about him, you know, but it's like if he just simply stated somewhere along the lines that he wasn't really exactly interested, and before I was too emotionally involved with him, then I wouldn't go around acting like some sort of bunny boiler. To tell the truth. And then especially if he was just running around and wasting my time and energy on some things. But that was just been the case with half of them. Not that I was ever really been mean to certain people on the first place, you know. And it was like the case with the other problems that I was having in my life a few times, you know, that I was like never really intended to be that mean. But I think I've only been mean to certain people there simply because I can't really get them to listen to me. Or I can't get them to understand why I feel this sort of way. And then in some ways I think it was just for them to be a little bit more sensitive about it. To kind of understand why I'm feeling this sort of thing. Why is sort of things there, you know? And believe me, I would have all these sort of things like that there, but this, what I call like the unnecessary drama, you know, or that I would say maybe it's unnecessary, but then maybe it was kind of necessary in aspects because it just helps certain people to get through to my needs, you know, or just for them to quite understand where I am at and what's causing such sort of things. So anyways, see you guys next time.